I think the Chinese cinema I grew up with, that I inspired to do, at the time when I grew up was very much like a subculture of the Hollywood movies or better movies, the Japanese movie included. We're looking up to them. So there are many great masters, whether it is commercial movies, which we didn't get at the time when I grew up, I didn't get to play a lot. And I grew up in a atmosphere where the Japanese influence, because the colonial years, the 50 years colonial, they really built Taiwan to be a modern place. That's a lot of influence on us, and we very much look up to the culture and movie included. But as a filmmaker, young film lover, there are many great Japanese masters that influence us. I think the same master influenced some of filmmakers that it directly influenced him as well. And even the secondary, through Taiwanese filmmaker, get back to him. So the Japanese movie is always something to look up to. They're great masters that we learn from. The difference from Japanese masters versus Western, what is American or European, is that the Japanese is very Eastern, and they put it much better than us. Something really to look up to, where you feel very kinship to it, but you cannot express how good they are. They really, it's not just on the surface, this plot point or character development that gets you, but the mood, the culture, I would say sadness. I think we have something common that we embrace sadness as being kindness. I think that's Buddhism. We call it 慈悲. You put kindness along with sadness. It's a deep understanding of sadness. This is something very Eastern, that you have to obey something bigger than you are, which humanly you still make best effort. That's something really moving. I think the Japanese do that, at least when I grew up, they did that the best. So that's what it is to me. Plus they're pretty very strict on the cleanliness. The Japanese movie looks very clean, very quiet. Probably a lot more stoic than we were, but it's just beautiful, something we look up to. I can tell you, I was so exhausted, I wanted to retire. I say 10 years, 12 years, that's plenty, and I'm so exhausted. I told my father I want to retire. My father, by the way, never liked me to be a filmmaker, entertainer. I was growing up very stately, very seriously, very old-fashioned. But he said, "You're 49, set a bad example for your kid." He said, "Go ahead, make a movie." It's the first time he said, "Go ahead, make a movie." So I had to make a movie. I was pondering about that, and that was Chinese New Year, actually. And then I went back to the America, and 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, he just passed away. And I went back, and I had to do the funeral. I was very sad. There's no outlet for me for grief because I have to host the funeral. Then I decided I have to go make a movie, and I remember this thing 3 years back that made me cry, which probably nobody will see. The gay cowboys, it's a cheap movie, probably only in the art house. So I decided to make that movie. So I was in a very grieving, sort of sad moment in my life, and I had no ambition. So maybe the exhaustion earned me the earnesty or something. People seem to appreciate it. That's a very special movie that nurtured me back to love movie making and life again. So I'm very thankful for the movie. So what part is developed? Well, first of all, one of the screenplay writers, Larry McMurtry, he's someone even Annie Proulx look up to. He's a legendary Western writer, realist Western, not the guys who draw the guns. And then so he add a whole lot, but very basically fill out the short story. It's only 30 pages long, and I think I add a lot of the Eastern to it. I think the most important thing to me in the Western is to do a Western is the space. They have a lot of space. They warn me this is harder than Sense and Sensibility. the writers. Like sensibility is a verbalized culture. This is a non-verbalized, and I just laugh to myself. You talk about silence, like I come from China, like don't talk to me about silence and repression. That was easy, actually. But anyway, to do a Western, to me, most important thing is space. I think if any additional language I add to the script or the laconic original short story is consciously adding a lot of space, whether it's space. I think in Western, they have space. That's the most important thing. How you treat negative space rather than matters, but the anti-matters, the in-between things. And also time space, in between lines. You talk about music, the pauses between each notes, even sparse notes, it takes spaces. So to me, that's a kind of a new language, even coming from the East. I was very consciously adding that to the language of making the movie.